Channel's coverage of Daytona Speed Weeks 2004 continues as NASCAR Nextel Cup Series teams get ready for the season's biggest race. It's final practice for tomorrow's 46th running of the Daytona 500, live from Daytona International Speedway. It's the race every driver dreams of winning, and the chance to make that dream a reality is just over 24 hours away. Now, after over a week's worth of practice and qualifying, just one final chance to test and tinker as teams look for the right balance of speed and handling to master Daytona's high banks. Alan Bestwick, Benny Parsons with you. This is final practice and the only practice they'll get today.
If you just tuned in, some fog over the Daytona International Speedway this morning, so much so that these cars could not be seen from the front stretch to the back stretch. So they chose not to let the cars come out and practice, but it's cleared up. We are good to go, aren't we, Dave?
We are, and so is Jamie McMurray. BP talked to him just before he rolled his car out of the garage area here, asked him what he wanted to accomplish in this final session. He said, I don't want to stay out there very long and take a chance on bending up my race car, but he said, I do need to stay out there long enough to see if the change that we started making yesterday can be even better if we add a little more to it. That shock change loosened the car up a little bit, and he said, I want to stay out at least 30 laps and find out what it does at the end of a run. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
Dave, in yesterday's practices, there was no 29 car. Kevin Harvick decided to skip those practices and leisurely climbs into his car after being in the Busch Series drivers meeting. And you don't seem to be in very much of a hurry, Kevin. You're kind of laid back.
No, we're just we're relaxed and ready to go. We've got a GM Goodwin Chevrolet that's really good. We got our 500 engine in here and all our rear end gears and stuff like that. So we just want to make sure they don't vibrate and get a few laps on them and make sure everything's good. So we're ready to go.
So the plan is keep it short and simple here?
We also got to make sure the 30 extra pounds of front bumper we got on there works too.
They have installed front bumpers on the, as we said, the front and the rear also. They have bumpers everywhere on this 29 car. You're going to see everything just okay in this final practice.
And what they're talking about are metal cow catchers type affairs that they put behind the fiberglass, so when they go up and start pushing and shoving, they don't crack that front end, because if they were to injure that front end, that fiberglass, crack it, their aerodynamic package would go out the window. So they have to try to protect that as best they can.
And by the way, yes, Marty and Dave do know which network we're on right now. We are on Speed, but the Busch Series race comes up pretty quick after this practice is over, and they can't change fast enough, so we let them wear their other suits.
I mean, Clark Kent changed in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, but oh, trouble. Brian Newman off turn 4.
Wow.
Red flag coming out.
How lucky is that? He has not hit a thing. Look how low the left front of that car is.
He's probably blown the tire out with it locked up and spinning.
It must be, because see the difference?
Right, we did a spin. We did not touch anything.
Right in the middle of the pack. Yeah, it sure looks like
it must have been down.
Must have been down. Sure looks like it.
Skirt surveillance. Yeah, it hit some stuff.
That's Matt telling that he has made contact with the apron.
See if NASCAR lets you come out the pit road and
his
change
crew
it.
chief, Matt Borland.
See, when he comes down off the 31-degree bank, the nose is dragging the apron of the racetrack, so I'm sure that it did touch that front bumper.
I'm going to think that when we get a chance to talk to him, and maybe when his crew gets a chance to see that video,
maybe 3 of them down.
They're going to believe that that left front tire was down that caused him to spin. Because he was off the pace there in the middle of that corner. He knew something wasn't right.
Yeah, the car behind him, was that Tony Stewart?
Yeah.
Whoever was behind him saw that he was backing off and slowing down because he went to the outside.
So final practice.
Get all the stuff for changes. I'm trying to find out from NASCAR now.
Just started, and final practice
so
just stopped.
Bring that stuff out here.
You can see the way that the car is rolling, that the tires are flat. I think they'll probably let them do it at the gas station. They don't want to drive the car back inside and let the flat tires injure the car in any way. That's why they're asking about the crew coming on the pit road about changing.
And they've just been given permission to do that.
Bobby, they let us know.
So they're trying to get his car a little bit farther down out of traffic's way, and then they're going to let him come out and throw some tires on it on the pit lane, and then drive it back around into the garage, and they can check out the damage a little more extensively. Here they come. Have the electric impact wrenches and the jack. Somebody will be showing up with a cart with some tires on it in a minute. And so the red flag is out early in NASCAR Nextel Cup Series final practice for the Daytona 500. We'll be back in a minute. Speed Channel's coverage of NASCAR Nextel Cup practice from the Daytona International Speedway is brought to you by New Levitra. New choice, here now. Ask your doctor today. They've just turned them loose from the pit lane and getting back up to speed here at Daytona International Speedway. Final Daytona 500 practice. Those cars going slowly, waiting for the pack charging off turn 2. While Ryan Newman's team changes those tires on pit road. Marty's got some more information for us on what happened to Ryan.
A little bit further word, Bobby Labonte actually radioed to his spotter going into turn 3 to tell Ryan's spotter that he had a left rear tire going down. Ryan's spotter couldn't get the word to Ryan quick enough, and that's what happened with Ryan Newman. We are awaiting the car here in the garage, and we'll have further updates when he does come to the garage. Dave?
Well, guys, Rusty Wallace is back in during that little incident out there with Ryan Newman. He got stacked up in the pack there. Rusty, is that what happened?
Yeah, I just come off of turn 4 and something happened up in front of us. We saw smoke and a 99 locked the brakes down, and I just couldn't get stopped that quick. And you know, we he just got stopped real quick, and I'm just all over the brakes trying to get it stopped and got into him. We're all right. We're just going to try to get the nose pushed back out a little bit and get some practice in.
It didn't damage the radiator?
No, it did not.
All right, very good. That's up front. One of the things that's up front there, guys, obviously, that would take a hit when you hit someone that hard in the back end. Now, we're here bump drafting down here, but wrecking like that is not good.
Yeah, that's not drafting, that's wrecking, yeah.
Bobby Labonte, Ward Burton, 18-0. Kurt Busch talked to him while he was waiting to come out for this practice during the fog delay, and he felt like they had really sorted their car out over the last couple days, and that 97 car should be pretty good.
I think a lot of guys have gotten their cars a lot better than they were, a lot looser than they were, getting all 4 tires to grip the racetrack much better, trying to overcome the big rear spoiler that NASCAR has put on these cars.
Oh, who's that smoking? Ward Burton. He got a tire rub. It went away when he came off the corner, so I think he's got a tire that's rubbing when he goes into the turn.
It could be that the tires are so low in air pressure this morning in trying to find something that the car is shifting enough that the rear tires are rubbing the fenders.
There it is again.
Yep.
He'll be coming in to get that fixed.
I think maybe that someone has told him he has a tire rub, and we can see he is off the throttle, slowing down. And the driver can smell that.
Blaney came around that tri-oval, and the 0 car was sitting in front of him. So the 2002 Daytona 500 winner will retreat to the garage area. Get some more work done on the 0 car.
If the tire is a little bit low in air pressure, the sidewall will give enough to let the body shift over and rub that tire.
Heard a report on Jamie McMurray from Dave when the practice started. 42 car out there running just behind Matt Kenseth and Kurt Busch. And with Terry Labonte to his inside. Tell you, BP, that 42, we talked about this yesterday, but that 42 of McMurray, that's been a very impressive car to me so far this speed week.
It really has. Both he and Sterling Marlin, 2 cars from the Chip Ganassi stable, have, to me, looked awfully good.
McMurray going to start in 7th position in the Daytona 500. Hey, heard from Rusty Wallace that he got into the back of the 99, so Dave's gone over to check out Jeff Burton's car. How about it, Dave?
Yeah, here's the evidence right here, Alan. You can see the body filler and paint that has sort of come off the rear bumper fascia there. It's really not as bad as they thought, though. That's what they said on the radio, so they don't think there's any problem up there. Meanwhile, at the front of the car, they're going to work on changing carburetors because Jeff said this one just is not as good as what we had yesterday. So both ends of the car now for Jeff being worked on. Marty?
Dave, you see the damage to the 12 car of Ryan Newman. It's basically the right side skirt. They're going to replace that. They're going to fix the body a little bit. Matt Borland said not as bad as we thought it was going to be. They're going to replace the front skirt as well and just kind of do a little touch-up job all the way around it. But really, damage not that bad on the 12 car, guys.
Lucky for Ryan.
Yes, it is. Very, very fortunate.
Well, there's a big group to watch in practice. You got Tony Stewart, who's had a really good handling car all week, running behind Jeff Gordon, who's kind of struggled. And then you've got the DEI cars up there, Michael Waltrip and Dale Jr.
Trying to work together. Oh, Junior pulled down and left Michael in the 15 car, hung out to dry. Michael can probably get a draft. No, he's going to pull back behind Junior again.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. going to start third in the 500. Michael Waltrip to start ninth.
Talking to the guys in the garage here this morning, they are all, once again, very impressed with how fast the 8 car is.
And as far as I'm concerned, the 15's been right there with it. No reason to believe they won't be contenders to win the Daytona 500 tomorrow. NASCAR Nextel Cup Series final practice for the Daytona 500 live on Speed, and they're getting after it.
I'm telling you, if you're going to draw up practice, this is not exactly how you would do it. Be in the middle of a 3 wide at 190 miles per hour. You'd want to be at least 2 rows, not 3.
This is how it's going to be tomorrow in the race.
Or 4 wide.
How
about 4 wide?
I don't think I'd do 4 wide in practice.
Back off, Robbie. Ease up.
He did. See Casey Kane there in the center in the Ray Evernham Dodge, the 9 car.
Larry Foyt in the white 14. The bad news for that team, no riding on the quarter panel. All right, Dave, how's work going on the 99 and 2?
They are welding on the 99, welding some bracing on the back bumper there. Meanwhile, on the 2, Rusty Wallace's team has covered up the entire top part of the front grille. I asked Rusty about that. He said, you know, we've been thinking about moving the cooling down to the bottom opening anyway all week. Now we have a real excuse to do it. So they're changing, or they're keeping the shape of the top, but they're going to cut off the cooling. And by the way, I also asked Rusty if he had an extra bumper on there, big stiff bumper. He said, not really, but now we might think about it. Marty?
Hey, thanks, Dave. VP, you remember what happened to Dale Jarrett, Mark Martin, and Jeff Burton in the 21-25. They were having a problem with the car cutting off. Remember that?
I remember that.
Well, here's what's going on with the Roush-Yates engine combination. They're basically combining parts. This is a Roush part. It's called a float ball. This is a Yates part, the carburetor. This is another float ball over here. And they have a Yates fuel pump feeding all of this. The Yates fuel pump had too much pressure, therefore putting too much fuel in these float balls, and the fuel was coming out of the vent tube. That's what was making the cars cut off. They have now changed that. What they've done, they haven't put a new fuel pump in. It's still a Yates fuel pump, but with less pressure, therefore not putting as much fuel in here, therefore making the cars run more efficiently. That's maybe part of the problem Jeff Burton was having. They changed the carburetors, the intake manifolds, and all 7 of those cars. But so far, until we just heard Jeff Burton a moment ago, no problems.
Well,
Okay.
good.
Good explanation for what was going on there on Thursday. Fastest lap in this practice so far has been turned by Dave Blaney. He's in the middle of the draft. He hasn't been out in front of this group. You see, we've got about, what, 19, 20 cars there all running together.
Greg Biffle in the 16 car will start on the pole, pulling up behind Junior in the 8 car. Talking about Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah, look who's moving to the front of the draft, the 8 and the 15.
Yep.
Tell you what, Jeff Gordon, he should be fun to watch tomorrow, BP. He's going to start a 24 car back in 39th position, but I think they've really helped that car since he struggled with it so badly earlier in the week. Remember, he had the problem in the 125 that caused him not to have the good finish in the poor starting spot after running pretty decently on Thursday. It should be fun to watch him try to come up through the field.
And I talked to Robbie Loomis, the crew chief on that 24 car this morning, and asked him about that. And he said, well, you know, we're better. We're a pretty good race car, but I don't know if we have anything for the 8. One of the guys that expressed just how fast he thought the Budweiser car was going to be.
Yeah, Michael Waltrip bailing out.
He's had enough.
Jimmy Johnson there, 48 car with John Andretti in the 3rd DEI entry to his outside, the 1. He's kind of right up there toward the front of this group, too.
If tomorrow's Daytona 500 is run in this kind of temperature, around 60 degrees, I think that we're going to see a fantastic race. The only thing that could hurt our race tomorrow if it warms up in the 80s in the cars, I think they're going to really start sliding across the racetrack. As long as it stays this cool, these guys are going to go after it.
The forecast is for about a 70-degree high temperature.
Perfect. Perfect.
Of course, that weather forecast has been changing about every day throughout the week, but we'll hope that that's the case. It's now NASCAR Nextel Cup Series final practice for the Daytona 500. More live coverage on Speed when we come back. Tony Stewart has just had a problem in NASCAR Nextel Cup Series final practice. He was running the high side in turns 3 and 4. He ran out of room.
Started to go by the one car on the outside there. We see John Andretti, and Andretti comes up the hill to block Tony, force him behind him, and guess what? Tony moved up the track, and there was the wall, and he's got fairly significant damage to the right side of that 20 car.
Another look at it there. And then that car wiggles when it comes off the wall, and Tony makes a nice job to catch it. Nice save there. They were all stacked up there. Kane, McMurray.
The 9 and 42 cars, they do a pretty good job of missing Tony Stewart.
Yep.
They turned under him.
Yesterday in practice, Tony and John kind of got tangled up as well.
Touched John in the left rear, and John did a nice job saving the car.
So Stewart goes back to the garage, and we'll get an update there after the crew has a chance to look at the car. Meantime, the pole sitter is now at the head of the line out on track. Yeah, they got some work to do.
They do have some work to do, and practice is over. And
yeah. Tony's been so happy with that car all week. It's been handling so well. Out over the NASCAR race control. Wow. A warning was just passed out over the NASCAR race control radio to the drivers involved. That Mr. Darby saying they can both sit in the garage for the rest of the practice, as far as I'm concerned, if they keep that up. Dave?
Well, the crew knows the situation here. Every camera in the world, every reporter in the world is going to want to find out about what happened here. So Greg Zipadelli instructed the crew, close the garage, get everyone out of here. Let's deal with this ourselves.
And that includes you, Dave?
Yeah, BP.
Come
they
on.
kicked my butt right out of there.
Oh, man, I hate it when that happens.
Me too. But, you know, you sure understand it. And the point that you guys made already, you talked to Tony earlier in the week, and they had found out what's going on with their car. They were better.
That's Buster Otten, a NASCAR official, having a little chat with John Andretti as he's come back to the garage. Marty?
Yeah, a little conversation going on. Buster just making sure that John knows what he's dealing with out there. John's still sitting in the car. Has not said much about the incident to his team, just talking about how the car is handling. We will effort a word with Mr. Andretti in a moment.
Okay. Looks pretty clean there.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't take much at all to get these cars out of shape, just because they're already practically out of shape. You get to almost take your hand and push against one of those rear fenders and cause that. But I don't know if I would want to be there to push on those cars as they went by.
Exactly. Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick. You see Rusty Wallace back out there now. He left pit road just before the Tony Stewart, John Andretti thing happened. So we kind of shifted our attention. We were going to show you Rusty rejoining the track, but you see that white-colored strip there on the top of his car, where they made the repairs that were being described to us by Dave. Blocking off the top opening of the grill and opening up the lower side of that Dodge Intrepid.
Johnny Sauter in the 30 car was up in the middle. He moved down to the inside lane.
You see Ryan Newman's out there too. Get some more practice laps in after his flat tire induced a spin around earlier. 12 cars scheduled to start 20th in the 500 tomorrow. Rusty Wallace scheduled to start 18th. Well, it's been eventful so far. We've still got plenty more. NASCAR Nextel Cup Series final practice to bring you live on Speed. It's Daytona 500 final practice live on Speed Channel. Final tune-up for tomorrow's Great American Race, and it's been eventful so far.
You know what that looks like more than practice? It looks like hunting for a place to wreck.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it looks like.
They've been running 3 wide, sometimes 4. most times too. And we've already had, let's see, Ryan Newman had a flat tire and spun in the opening laps of the practice, and then Tony Stewart got into the wall after he and John Andretti tangled.
And Rusty Wallace, when Newman crashed and the red flag came out, Jeff Burton backed off the throttle. Rusty Wallace ran in the back of him, damaged the nose of the 2 car and the rear of the 99.
Jeff Burton, by the way, is back out on track now. We already talked about Rusty Wallace being out there again. There's Burton in the 99. Talking about Tony Stewart and John Andretti. Involved in an incident before. You see some of the damage being worked on by the Home Depot team on that 20 car. That's right rear quarter panel, up the door. Right front fenders. And while that team goes to work, John Andretti's team at the opposite end of the garage is working as well. Marty?
Yeah, meantime over here, John's had a moment to cool down. And what happened exactly, John?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess going for the same piece of ground and there wasn't enough there, so I don't really know.
It's twice this week, though. Is there something going on that everyone doesn't know about?
I don't think so. I think Tony and I get along fine. Not sure what's going on, but today I understand, but yesterday I didn't understand real well, and I haven't talked to him at all, but I'm sure that we'll talk about it, and you know, everything's fine.
And finally, what did NASCAR have to say to you when they came over?
They said everything was fine. They just wanted to know, they wanted to know what was going on. So.
All right, crew chief Tony Gibson said, other than all of that, the car's been actually pretty good this weekend.
How is Tony Gibson? He's okay after his illness on Thursday, Marty?
Hey, he's doing great. He's not hobbling around or anything. He said he felt better pretty much after Thursday night, and is doing fine right now.
Good. He'd be feeling fine come tomorrow anyway. He's not going to miss the Daytona 500. Elliott Sadler, 38 car, that outside lane. Of course, winner of his Gatorade 125 on Thursday. He starts from the outside of the front row in the 500. Talk about somebody that's been walking about 1.5 feet up off the ground. That'd be him.
Trying to pin the 38, trying to follow the 19. He's being pushed by the 30 of Johnny Sauter.
While we watch some of this, let's check back in with Dave.
Kurt Busch has been in the garage for a couple of minutes now. Kurt, how's the handling on your car?
Yeah, we're doing pretty good as far as handling. Just some last-minute jet changes. And we're going to try a set of front shocks with a fresh set of tires and go do 25 laps, and that'll be our final change for the Daytona 500.
How is running in the pack right now? Obviously not right here in the garage. When you're in the pack, what's it like?
We're awesome. We're handling great down here. When we're out on the track, when the A car gets up front, the pace picks up. They're a fast car that can tow the cars quicker. And so when that happens, the outside draft loses a little bit because they pull the draft quicker. So it's just a matter of making those adjustments to see if we can be one of those cars that can break up the 8 and 15 and maybe run with those boys. We'll see what happens. We finished second last year, and we'll just try to polish on it.
Pretty good analysis, guys.
And, you know, as you watch the speeds go by on the top of the screen, you watch them go by there, Sterling Marlin in 6th, Ricky Craven, Brendan. You won't see the 8 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr., until 30th. He's 30th fastest in this practice. That's why we continually talk about that the speeds that you see really are not indicative of how the cars run around the racetrack, because everybody there realizes the 8 car is fast. Just like Kurt Busch said, when he gets in front, the cars run faster.
It's the guy that's about 6th or 7th in line every lap that's getting the fastest lap in that draft. The people in front of him breaking the air. Marty, how about Junior's teammate, Michael Waltrip?
He said on the 500 practice would be over. Are you happy with the car, Mikey?
Yeah, the new engine's got a lot of power. It feels really good, and it's driving well, and I think it's the car to win the race with. And did you know that if we win the race tomorrow, you can call Domino's on Monday and get free cheesy Domino's dots free? Just ask for the Waltrip family special.
I did not know that. I'm sure that you will be calling. What difference did the engine feel to you? You seem obviously very pleased with it.
It just grunts, man. That's what you want out of an engine. When you get all wadded up in traffic and there's air squeezing on the side of you and a gap in front of you and you just can't seem to pull through it. This thing here, it really can't pull through it, but it sounds like it wants to. You know, it's really digging the whole time. It's really impressive to change engines and feel such a difference. I really like this car and this engine combination. it could be really important come tomorrow.
We're expecting weather like this tomorrow. What kind of race will we see, Mikey?
My car handles good, so probably not a whole lot like you've seen in the past. I think everybody's kind of got their setups and mine right with the tires. The tires are great. There's nothing wrong with them. My car, I went 40 laps on a set, no cords, so it's just, it'll be a handling race somewhat, but it'll mainly be a speed race. You're going to have a fast car, know how to draft, and you need teammates and friends in order to get through the day. It's a long race, Marty. You know, we don't really worry about what goes on until about lap 200.
He's won 2 of the last 3 500s, looking for another one tomorrow.
It is final practice for the Daytona 500. Here live on Speed. We'll come back to the Daytona International Speedway with more after this. Been an eventful final practice so far here at Daytona. This was the opening moments. Ryan Newman with a left rear tire going flat and a flying 360.
Goes around, the roof flaps come up, kind of keep the car on the ground, and the brakes do the job in stopping the car and blowing out the tires. And then Tony Stewart in the 20 gets together with John Andretti, goes up to avoid Andretti, brushes the wall, and has ended his day as far as practice is concerned.
Right side damage on the 20 that his crew will spend the better part of their afternoon and maybe into the evening getting fixed up. Tony's teammate Bobby Labonte out among this group. Dale Jr.'s return to the track. And Scott Wimmer just behind Dale Jr. in Bill Davis's 22 car. He and Dave Blaney, the 2 Bill Davis Racing Dodgers, with the fastest laps so far in this practice session.
That's the fastest speed recorded in this session, the 23 car at 191.975 miles per hour. But if you fall back behind this group and get a good, nice run, it's easy to run that kind of speed.
Scott Wimmer, one of a handful of drivers making his first ever start in the Daytona 500. He's alongside another one, Brian Vickers in the 25 for Hendrick Motorsports.
See, both those cars on the rear bumper have yellow strips of tape across that, signifying that they are Rebestos Rookie Challengers. I told Brian this morning what that says is beware, I don't know what I'm doing. Those yellow strips.
Drivers making their first 500 start, 7 of them. And they're all toward the back. Who has run more than a couple of races. In fact, he's won a couple of Daytona 500s here. Sterling Marlin is in the garage.
He's won more than a couple of them, Alan, as you mentioned. And Sterling, car good enough to win this time?
Yeah, I think it is. We got a Coors Light team's done a great job, and put another motor in it seems a lot better than the motor we qualified with.
A lot better?
A lot better.
Oh, good.
So really good, drives really good, and there's no need sitting out there taking chances. Tires a good car. Been driving good all week, and I hope it's 95 degrees tomorrow. The track gets good and slick, and we'll be there.
I don't think it's going to be that, though. And if it's not those conditions, what kind of race will we see? And can anyone beat that 8 car, Sterling?
Oh yeah, he can be beat. I mean, it's he's good getting up front, but it's going to take a handling car. Their cars drive good, but just if you can get in front of somebody and hold them off, you can do it. And we got a good car, and we're going to shoot at them.
Place you want to be with 2 to go? Definitely the lead. Is that where you want to be?
Oh yeah, I want to be lead, definitely. But the deal is, if the car gets tight, you got to start lifting off the corners, and that's when you get a run on somebody. So, like I said, our car drives good, and we're ready to go.
He will start in the right place. He will start 4th tomorrow for the 500.
And Marty, Sterling Marlin is the only car that has not practiced in this session. 42 cars have been out taking some laps.
No, he's been out before.
He has been out?
It's Kevin LePage.
Oh, the 4 hasn't been out. Okay.
Yeah.
I looked on the monitor, did not see the 40 car. Where is he?
6th.
Oh, 6th. Oh, he's fast.
Yeah.
And he dressed quickly.
Yeah.
I got you.
He said enough
already.
Johnny Sauter in the 30. Another one of those drivers in his 500 debut on Sunday. Alongside a man, Ricky Rudd, in the 21 for the Wood Brothers, who will make his 27th start in the Great American Race and still looking for win number 1.
You see how those guys bail out behind that rookie and get in line with Ricky Rudd, Bobby Labonte, Dale Earnhardt Jr. That's going to be the problem that the rookies have in the Daytona 500. It's just going to be difficult to find someone to run with them.
at 190 miles an hour, running that close together, people have to have confidence in those that they're racing around, and sometimes guys have to race together with somebody under these conditions to build that confidence.
As I told Brian Vickers, when that yellow stripe says, "Don't get behind me, I don't know what I'm doing."
Yep. But on the other hand, Jamie McMurray said to me, you know, I haven't been around here all that long, and some of these guys may not have much confidence in me, but if you've got a fast race car, they'll have to get over that because they're going to need your help in order to get up front.
Exactly.
Dale Jarrett's got a lot of confidence. Three-time Daytona 500 winner, going for victory number 4 tomorrow, and he's out in final practice now. NASCAR Nextel Cup Series final practice from Daytona International Speedway, live on Speed. Down to the last moments, got about 15 minutes left or so, a little less than that. Junior, Dave Blaney, Jeff Burton, Ryan Newman, all there in the group. John Andretti back out. He's up in the outside lane in the 1. Who's at the head of the line? That's Ward Burton. Remember, he had a tire rub earlier in the practice in that 0 car, and he's back out.
And let's see. As he goes up in the corner, looks like he has fixed that problem. Yep. I figured that Tony Furr and the guys could do that.
0 car, Ward going to start 19th in the 500. Of course, he was the 2002 winner of the race. Makes his 10th start in the Great American Race. Ward said, you know, after he won the 500 in 2002, they took him up to New York City, did a big media thing and so on. He said, you know, New York City's not my kind of place, being an outdoors kind of guy, but I'd sure go there again.
If he could win the Daytona 500, he would bear the abuse of going to New York one more time.
Wherever you want to take me, that's right. Talked with Kurt Busch earlier. That's him out there in the 97, just ahead of Dale Jr. Elliott Sadler in that group in the 38 as well. It's Elliott waving to Joe Nemechek there, saying, okay, I'm going to bail out of here soon. '33 is Mike Skinner, Richard Childress Racing entry. Just barely made the race. Going to start 43rd in the field of 43.
Which means Richard Childress has 4 cars in the Daytona 500.
And 38 car does bail out, so that's what he was waving back to Nemechek to signal. It's Kyle Petty in the 45. He'll take the green flag from 33rd spot on Sunday. Ooh.
Oh, boys, be careful up there next to the wall. So Skinner says, you guys want to get that close to the wall, I'll just go down the middle. See if I can make some progress, especially I will if Nemechek will help.
Burton waving the field on by. I'm out of here. Let me turn into a corner at probably about 170 miles an hour with a wall a couple of feet away and take one hand off the wheel and stick it out the window to wave.
Yep.
Little less than 10 minutes left in Daytona 500 final practice. More from Speed Weeks in a minute. Final laps of practice for tomorrow's Daytona 500. Unfolding here at the Daytona International Speedway. Later today, the NASCAR Busch Series going to run the season opening 300-miler here, and then tomorrow the 46th running of the Great American Race. Now everybody out there trying to get one final chassis adjustment, one final tweak, find the speed they need to try and win tomorrow's race.
You know, everyone keeps talking about the 8 car, and you talk to that crew, they're confident that they have a good race car. My question is, why is he running so, I mean, if he's really that good, he's been on the racetrack for a lot of laps in this session.
Just searching.
Dave?
There's always a way to make it better, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, BP. Let's find out. 22 laps for you, Kevin. Is there anything you guys can do to this car overnight that you think will make it better for tomorrow's 500?
We're just going to work on the front end just a little bit. It's just still just a touch tight. got it to where, you know, it was in the 125s. Just didn't have to let off yet, but just you could feel it in the steering wheel, just starting to want to scoot the front tires. The GM Goodwin Chevrolet has been good every day that we've been here, and just ready to go, just ready to start racing and for real. And so we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
And by the way, Benny was right. You know what he said? He said there's always something you can do to make it better.
Oh, yeah. It'll be better tomorrow. I promise you that.
All right. Tonight, no sleep, and they will work on getting this thing better. Let's go to Marty.
Elliott Sadler talking to Todd Parrott as I get pushed by Raymond Fox III. And that car looks awfully sporty. Looks like you're one of the few that can keep up with that 8 car, Elliott.
Yeah, I think we got something for the boys tomorrow. Todd and the guys have done a great job. And everybody engine shop, thanks so much. Running motors back and forth in here all week. But we're pretty happy with it. I hadn't seen a smile on my face in a long time like this. But I think we got a little bit better than we had it for the Twin 125. So they're definitely going to have something to reckon with tomorrow.
You know he's won a few of these things, don't you?
I know he has every 4th year, and this is the 4th year. So it might be our day. We'll see.
There you go. Keep your eye on the 38 as well as the 8 tomorrow.
And Marty referring to the fact that as Dale Jarrett's crew chief, Todd Parrott won the 500 in '96, in 2000. This would be 4 years later.
Yep. And Dale Earnhardt Jr., my guess is he is now finished with practice. He ran 33 laps in this session. Jimmy Johnson has run 41 laps, but only about a handful of cars have run more than 30 laps. Most of them in the 20s.
See Scott Riggs in the middle of that group in the 10 car. Kind of been a tough rookie Nextel Cup week for Riggs here at the Speedway. Blew out a tire basically in the Twin 125s on Thursday and hit the wall. That's the backup car the 10 team had to pull out. And Scott Riggs will start the 500 back in 36th position. I talked to him last night though here at the racetrack, and he said it's been a tough week, it's been a struggle, but I'm going to be in the Daytona 500.
It's all so that then it's all worth it. We can't overemphasize enough just how much it would mean to any of these drivers to win the Daytona 500. Dale Jarrett, as we said, has won a couple. You know, Sterling Moss won a couple, but they'd love to win another.
It changes forever how you're viewed in the world of racing, and anymore, as popular as the sport and this race have gotten, how you're viewed by the public at large. I mean, you know, this is what, 30 years later, almost?
Yeah.
And you are still 1975 Daytona 500 winner, Benny Parsons.
Yep. Well, it's a big deal. It really is huge.
And Scott's dad was with him last night while I was talking to him, and Scott walked away to sign an autograph, and I looked at his dad. I said, "You ever think your boy would be in the Daytona 500? He said, "I'm still shaking." He said, "I'm so proud." It's a great thing.
And all the dads are here. Kurt Busch, they were receiving the 97 car. Saw his dad this morning talking about he and his brother Kyle competing here on Daytona International Speedway and just how excited he was.
Yep. Mike Skinner's had enough. Dave Blaney in that 23 for Bill Davis Racing. Team here on a one-race sponsorship. Not planning on continuing on after this week until they find some more backing, but he's got the fastest lap in this final practice. He ran so well in the Budweiser shootout last Saturday night at Open Speed Weeks 2004. And he'd love to have a great day here on Sunday. Perhaps set himself up to attract some backing to continue on. Got about 2 minutes, a little over 2 minutes left in this practice.
And they're going to be running in this pack, it looks like, until they throw that red-black flag signifying the practice is over. Some of them are going to stay out there and run every lap they can.
Benny, some of these guys in the 500 for the first time. Casey Kane there in the picture of Ray Evernham's car, the 9 machine. Will he sleep tonight? Will he sleep well tonight?
No, he won't sleep well tonight, because there'll be visions of sugar plums dancing in his head, and it'll going to look like the Daytona 500 trophy.
Christmas morning for a race driver tomorrow at Daytona.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ricky Rudd in the middle of the group. Wood Brothers 21. Talked about the guys racing in their first 500. We've got this whole group of people who've been here for 20-some years and have never won this race. It can't overstate how difficult it is to win this one race. Rusty Wallace will go tomorrow in his 22nd 500. Never won it. Mark Martin in his 20th. Terry Labonte in his 26th. Ricky Rudd will go tomorrow in his 27th 500. All very accomplished winning drivers at this level, and they've never won the sport's biggest race. Go ahead, Dave.
And there's a converging, of course, of youth and experience happening in the Hendrick Motorsports camp. Brian Vickers has now completed 26 laps on the track. He will be making his first start in the Daytona 500. His teammate Jeff Gordon will make his 12th, and he's waiting for Brian here in the garage as soon as he pulls in. Jeff's done for the day, pretty happy with his car. Jeff's waiting to help young Brian understand what he can about tomorrow's Great American Race. Marty?
Well, Dave, tomorrow, of course, Greg Biffle will start first. Can you finish first, Greg?
Well, I don't know. You know, it's day to day. The temperature changes and everything. You know, I was real happy with the car yesterday, and we switched engines. It doesn't feel like it pulls up like that other engine did. Of course, that's the engine that got us on the pole for the race. So, you know, in handling, it doesn't quite handle as good today. And, you know, it's just day to day. We're going to check out, make sure we got it where we want it. And we changed a little bit of spring in it. We're going to put it back and put it on stands for the race.
You win the race here last July. You sit on the pole for this Daytona 500, yet you're considered an underdog for this race. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's awesome. I think it's great. You know, I know we'll lead the race probably to the first pit stop. You know, the car is extremely good out front. You know, if the engine pulls up like the other one did, we'll probably be out front there till the first pit stop, and then we'll see what happens. Car's fairly decent in traffic, so I'm excited. I'm an underdog.
It's your pole sitter for tomorrow.
Greg Biffle going to make his second start in the 500, and one more lap of practice, and they're going to show him the red and black flags, and they'll have made their final preparation laps on the track before tomorrow's race.
Every car here except the 8 and 15 are underdogs. Really, truly.
Well, I think it's a fair statement. Yeah, you got won the race here last July, won the pole, and yet, you know, he didn't get talked about much when people ask around about who's going to win.
Well, if someone held a gun to my head and said, you got to pick somebody to win this race.
Yeah, who would you pick?
You know, I'm going to have to pick 8 or 15. Yeah. And Junior's still back on the racetrack. I just knew that he was done with practice, and he's back out there again, running more laps.
There's always something you can do, something you can try to make it better. Crew chief told me once, very successful crew chief, that when your driver tells you your race car is perfect, that's when you start to worry.
All right, Junior, you got to stop now because they're not going to let you practice another lap.
So practice is over for the Daytona 500. They've been here practicing since last Friday, and they've had their last miles on the track. They'll take it back to the garage and debate and ponder and worry and fret until they turn them loose and get caught up in the adrenaline of going racing in the Great American Race tomorrow. Back to the World Center of Racing in just a minute on Speed. Speed Channel's coverage of NASCAR Nextel Cup practice from Daytona International Speedway is brought to you by New Levitra. New choice, here now, ask your doctor today. And by In Demand. Check out NASCAR in-car for free on digital cable during the Daytona 500. You're not supposed to bite your tongue when you read those things, are you?
Oh, no. That's not good.
Final practice is over, beginning to already put the pre-race staging in place for the NASCAR Busch Series season opener that comes up here in a little less than an hour from now.
They've got things jammed together as the one group of cars leave the racetrack, another group comes onto the racetrack, goes, let's go racing.
Coverage of that Busch Series race starting at noon Eastern on NBC, plus the Daytona 500 tomorrow, 46th running, beginning at noon Eastern on NBC also. See the Busch Series cars in the garage getting uncovered. Crews will be pushing them out to form the grid momentarily. Understand they're going to early up the start of the Busch Series race a little bit. There is some threatening weather forecast for today, so they want to get it going as quickly as possible and get the action underway. It should be a wild race this afternoon.
Oh, man, that truck race last night was unbelievable, and I think the Busch race today is going to be something very similar to that, and the Daytona 500 tomorrow.
maybe even better.
Will it be the day for Kurt Busch to get his first win in the Great American Race? He finished second in the race before, a year ago. Talking it over with crew chief Jimmy Fennick now to try and do what they can to overcome the competition and get his name on the Harley Earl Trophy as a Daytona 500 winner. So the Busch Series race coming up in a little while. Thanks for joining us for Nextel Cup final practice here on Speed. Let's send it down to Speed's Victory Lane Studios here at Daytona and John Roberts.